Hey, it's me, Jesse Lee, aka Music News Daddy, and this is just a clip from this week's episode of the podcast. Be sure to check out the full thing, it's up right now. They ask, would you consider Sleep Token as metal, including any subgenres of metal? Man, that is always the $1 million question when it comes to Sleep Token, right? Like, are they really a metal band? Are they even a rock band? You know, they're not a traditional metal band, obviously. Like, if you're talking to someone who's a big fan of Slayer, and you're like, hey, let me play this new metal band, and then you play them Sleep Token, like, they're probably going to twist your nipples until you get away from them. They're not going to be happy about you, trying to shoehorn some Sleep Token in their playlist. But they obviously have metal elements. Sleep Token, you can't call them straight pop. You can't just call them a pop band. They have breakdowns, they have screaming, they have, guitars, as we would say. They do the junts, okay? They have metal elements to them. And it'd be like, let's say Taylor Swift released a song, and it was like her normal song for like the first verse, but then after that it switched and it was just like breakdowns and screamings and heavy, and it was metal. Like, you wouldn't say, you wouldn't say Taylor Swift released a pop song with a metal breakdown. You would say, oh my God, Taylor Swift released a metal song. It's more metal than it's not. So I guess it would, and I think it goes back both ways with Sleep Token. Yeah, is it a metal band? 100%? No, it has a lot of pop elements. It has even some hip hop elements to it as well. But as a whole, I think it's mostly rock and metal. It's most of the parts of it. Some of the parts I feel like make up metal. It is also worth noting that Sleep Token themselves never labeled themselves metal. They never said they were metal. Sleep Token hasn't said much at all, really. They don't really talk about themselves very much. They never, they're not going to label themselves as rock and metal. So it's kind of like, we've collectively put them in that box. We've kind of made them a metal band. And it's kind of like the whole thing, like, your vibe attracts your tribe or whatever. It's almost like the reverse of that. It's like, they've been surrounded. They've been on shows with rock and metal bands. They've toured with metal bands. They've been on these festivals. They're, respected by rock and metal musicians. So they kind of get lumped in that category. So I think baddiecore is still the most appropriate term for them. I think that's still the best classification. Nick Nocturnal and, Craig Reynolds, actually, from Straight from the Past and the Downbeat podcast, he originally coined it. And then Nick Nocturnal kind of took it worldwide, so to speak, and then made a whole category out of it as Nick Nocturnal Awards. But baddiecore, it's kind of like metalcore music, but with enough sexiness that hot normies can like it. I think that's probably a more accurate description of the band. But maybe just metalcore, I guess, progressive metal. You definitely have to give them some credit for their rock and metal. You can't call them a straight pop band, I feel like. You cannot just call Sleep Token a pop band or a hip hop band, but they're a hard band to pin down. They're a hard band to nail down as genre wise. But I would definitely say, to answer your question, what was his name? The Mole Dandy. Yeah, I would consider them at least in the metal category. I wouldn't call them a metal band, but I would put them, if we're tagging them, you can put some different genres tags on them. I'm gonna throw metal on there. That's my final roundabout way to answer that.
The Jesse Lee Show. The Jesse Lee Show. The Jesse Lee Show.